Meeting, staff and gallery. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout the Barossa region and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Members, we have an apologies from Councillor Angus and Councillor Boothby. Moved Councillor Miller, second Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried. Item 1.5, the minutes of the previous meeting for confirmation. That's the council meeting held on the Tuesday the 19th of October at 9 a.m. Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Wee Smith. All those in favour? Carried. No matters arising. I'll move to the Mayor's report on page 5. Any questions? If not, before I move to get a mover and a seconder, if there's no questions, I would like to acknowledge the wonderful effort Joe and your team at the Barossa Visitor Centre. We were fortunate enough to be recognised as the best visitor centre in the state, and that comes about with a lot of dedication and passion and commitment by the staff, and with the supporting and the enormous support that we get from the volunteer within our community. So members, I think it's worthy of an applause and a recognition to all of the staff and the volunteers of our Barossa Visitor Centre. So I was very fortunate to accompany some young ladies, some of the staff, to the event, and it was really inspirational to see the energy and the passion that they have about their role and their dedication to promoting the Barossa and enjoying the wonderful contact. I was able to get some insights as to what's trending and what some of the challenges are. So to Joe and Kirsty and the staff, please convey our sincere appreciations from Council for the wonderful effort and your dedication, and we look forward to coming home with the big one when we're in the National. So well done.
Thank you everyone for your support.
No, well done. Thank you very much. So members, someone like to move the Mayor's report, please? Councillor Miller, seconded Councillor Wee Smith. All those in favour? Carried. Consensus agenda, any items that members wish to be withdrawn for discussion?
I'll move that they be.
Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Schilling. All those in favour? Carried. Members, as you can see on our agenda, we have some very valuable people and worthy people to pay our recognition for their volunteer commitment to our region. And as we always like to acknowledge and say, without our volunteers, so much would not be achieved. So with that, Michael O'Brien. Michael, come forward, sir. Thank you, sir. Right. Michael, he started volunteering in the Barossa and Light Community Transport in 2012. And over the years, you've contributed something like 652 hours. Does it feel like you've done those 652 hours?
Not at all.
Not at all. And you've driven 23,000 kilometres. So great effort, and we really sincerely appreciate it. And I'm sure all of those passengers that you've carted around. You've had some wonderful discussions, and yeah, no, it's a tremendous effort. And we've heard that there's a lot of positive feedback with your contribution and the way in which you've gone about it.
Enjoy doing it.
And the clients, they tell me they really do enjoy travelling with you. So they're going to miss you, and we look, well, all the best for the future. So thanks so much for your valued contribution to our community. Got any plans for the future?
A bit more travel.
Bit more travel.
You
Okay.
know, my heart surgery first, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Well, all the best with that, and hope everything works out all right for you. So thanks very much,
Thank you.
Michael. Terrific. Well done. This lady I see walking and pounding the streets on a regular basis. She supports our local community with coffee, etc. Jane Pfeiffer. So thanks so much, Jane.
It's been no worries, thank you.
Jane has become, you know,
You might bite me.
you're not backward in coming up to me in the streets. So Jane, you've joined the team back in May 2017, and I know that as far as the visitor centre, Joe, Kirsty and all the team, they have really enjoyed working with you over the last 4 years. You've got an amazing knowledge of the Barossa and a real passion about the Barossa, and we know that between you and your husband have been a great contributor to our Barossa region over many years. You've helped many visitors, and you must enjoy it to keep on coming back like you have. And so in June this year, you made that decision to resign as an ambassador to the role at the Barossa Visitor Centre. And in your words, they tell me, you're now going to be full-time free spirit. I've always seen there's been a bit of a free spirit already. So, no, look, we sincerely thank you for everything that you've done, and we wish you well in the future. And I dare say I'll see you pounding the pavements at Tanunda for many more years to come, and we'll catch up and have a few coffees along the way too. So thank you so much for what you've contributed to our community. It's been greatly appreciated, and when we acknowledge the state title as the best visitor centre, it's your contribution and the many other volunteers that make that achievable. So well done.
No worries.
And Jill, you've been part of the whole scene too, haven't you? Well done. Jill Woolley. Yeah, well, it's too crowded for me to go up to the no. Well done, Jill. You started volunteering back in November 2013. COVID threw a spanner in the works in 2020, threw a spanner in all our works, I think, along the way too. So after some deliberation, you've decided to let it go for a while and sort of take on some new exciting ventures. So once again, you've spent an amazing 600 hours at the visitor centre. Have you enjoyed every moment of it? Have you? What's been some of the key experiences?
Oh, helping so many different people.
Okay, no, it's greatly appreciated. And that's what it says here, helping so many visitors. So well done. So, and the staff said they really love you coming in regularly and having the relationships that they had with you on Mondays. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you. This is the staff saying. So on behalf of council, thank you so much for your valued contribution. And as I said to Jane, it's contributions such as yourself and all the volunteers supported by the staff that make our visitor centre stand out like a beacon. So thanks so much for your valued contribution.
I love working with the staff.
Oh, well, I reckon they're lovely people too. Colin and Maggie. I'll come to you. How are you?
Really good.
You won't be playing netball this week, will you?
No, I've just had a new hip, so a few more weeks and I'll
A few
be
more
there
weeks
again.
and you'll be right. How are you, Colin? Look, Colin, both of you have been actively involved in the Nuriokta gardening group, and so you commenced volunteering back in 2010.
It's something like that.
Yeah, well, you know, they wouldn't feed me wrong information. So since that time, you've helped trim the pots in the main street, weeding, pruning, watering, as well as tidying up around the place. So once again, we sincerely thank you for your contribution and just keeping the Barossa, you know, flowering and looking lovely. So sincerely thank you so much for your contribution. What are your plans for the future if you're not going to be pulling weeds?
You'll probably find a few more to pull somewhere
Okay.
else.
No, look, sincerely thank you very much to both of you for your wonderful contribution over those years, and all the best in the future.
Thank you
And
very
I
much.
look forward to seeing you on the netball for next season, okay? Okay, thanks. We just have a group shot, yes? Where
Yes.
can we group shot? Up here, yep.
There is easy. Sure, the leader will take.
If you make your way up here, that would be appreciated. You want to go in the middle? Take photo?
Not sure this is part of my job spec, Ben. Yeah. Okay, you got a drink.
Squish in a bit.
No, you're all in.
Oh, you're all in. So you want that chair, Bim? Do you want? Oh,
You move the chair out.
Do you want to come in? Do you want to come in? Follow me? 'Cause then that'll block my big. Yeah, I know.
1, 2, 3. I'm sure mine are no good, Celeste will share me hers. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks to you all, and thanks Joe and your team. Well done. Congratulations to everyone.
well done. Well done, clean the gallery out.
Members, we'll now move on to the debate agenda. 7.2.1, that's the monthly financial report as at the 31st of October.
I'll move the report.
Moved councillor Johnston, seconded councillor Haybick. Any questions? All those in favour? Carried.
Yeah, what page?
112 is the audit committee membership, extension of the appointment of one of the independent members. 7.2.2, it's a recommendation there to approve the extension of the appointment of Mr Ian Swan as the independent member of the audit committee.
Move the recommendation, Josh.
Moved councillor De Vries, seconded councillor Miller. All those in favour? Carried. 114, page 114, which is the approval to undertake the consultation on the lease with the Williamstown RSL and the Senior Sits Hall. There is a recommendation. Any questions?
I'll move the recommendation.
Moved councillor Johnston, seconded councillor Troop. All those in favour? Carried.
Johnston True. Johnston True.
Yes.
Thank you.
Page 151 is the 7.2.4 is the annual closure of the council office, libraries, Barossa Visitor Centre, council depots over the Christmas and New Year period for 2021. It's moved councillor Barrett and seconded councillor,
Other way around.
other way around, okay. Moved councillor Hovick and seconded councillor Barrett. All those in favour? Carried. Page 157 is the appointment of the deputy mayor. There is a recommendation there which outlines the process that we have previously adopted on a regular basis every 12 months. So any questions before I
Move the recommendation.
move recommendation 1, councillor Wee Smith and seconded councillor De Vries. All those in favour? Carried. So with that, I will call for nominations to the position of deputy mayor. Councillor Miller.
Mayor, I'd like to nominate Councillor Johnston for the position of Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Johnson, are you prepared to accept?
I'm willing to stand.
Councillor De Vries.
I'm going to self-nominate, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor De Vries is nominated for deputy mayor. Any other nominations? If not, councillor Johnson, I'm going to allow 2 minutes each just to
Sure.
tell us why you want to be deputy mayor.
Sure. Look,
So the rest of the chamber can then vote accordingly.
Yes, so just briefly, it would be an honour and a privilege to serve this community and this council as your deputy mayor and seek your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor De Vries.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'll try to keep this really quick. I have been deputy mayor in the past, and I remember going back, there was 16 years ago, we were in a situation where we used to have only one deputy mayor. It was whoever was elected during the beginning of the term. And we found ourselves in a situation where we had the same mayor and the same deputy for the entire term. That actually caused some issues. One of them was, in fact, that it meant that there was a limited number of people who were able to stand for the council, for the role of deputy mayor. Inevitably, it tended to be, believe it or not, Councillor Angus, because he, as you all know, tends to do extremely well in the public elections. And so, as a result of that, we found that with Councillor Hearn and, Mayor Hearn and Councillor Angus as mayor and deputy, the district was basically represented by people from the one town over an extended period of time. So the council decided that it would be useful to actually have a variety of people standing as deputy mayor, so that we would have more than one person who would be capable of stepping in if the mayor required that. But also it meant that people from any town within the valley had a reasonable chance of getting an opportunity to be deputy mayor. That has sort of been followed ever since. I was actually 7 years ago deputy mayor and served well enough that in fact a couple of councillors came to me at the end of my term and actually suggested that I do precisely what Councillor Johnston's doing and stand a second time. I actually said no, I don't want to do that, because I actually agree with the principle of actually having only one person at a time coming through. I like the idea that a person can be the deputy mayor more than once, but if they do so, they have to wait for an additional 4-year term rather than getting it back to back. I am concerned that if Councillor Johnson was to receive back-to-back deputy mayor roles, that would then create a precedent, which would mean that in the next council election, there's no reason why, for example, somebody who won the first ballot in the first of the 4 years would then seek re-election again and again, and we could end up going back to the old system. So this is no aspersion on Councillor Johnson. I think he's been a terrific deputy mayor. I believe that I will also be a terrific deputy mayor if I get the honour of your support. And I think that's probably my 2 minutes.
Thank you. As we have more than one nomination, recommendation two.
I'll move the recommendation to.
Moved councillor Schilling and seconded councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried. So that means we adjourn the meeting and we hope the ballot.
Have we got them in our folders? Have we got them in our folders or not? They're not, oh, they're different, sorry.
Oh, you've got ballot papers already?
We got ballot papers in our folders.
She's good, isn't she?
Haven't got a folder. She's right, not everyone's got their folders. Haven't got the folder.
Well, hopefully.
Oh wow, we've got lots of ballot papers.
Yeah.
Are those?
You've all got them, or you-
Case it's nine vote.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote for now, maybe, I think.
you're expecting quite a few ties, I guess.
Yeah, use that one.
Okay.
Because not everyone's got their packs.
I think they're
Oh,
on
so
the
we're
desk.
using.
Yeah, use these ones, because not everyone's got their
We
packs.
don't take it home, do we?
Oh, okay, so it's gotta be consistent. Oh, you go first.
She's right, I know.
A name.
First name or surname?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter, as long as I know.
Long
Long as I know who you're voting for.
long as the returning officer can
Well, put that, I
determine.
think these folders stay.
They do, but for some reason, a couple of reasons.
Oh, okay.
Don't you forget I haven't worked for 12 months, baby, I'd love
This
to.
isn't freezing, what is it? It's right, it is. Everybody went to the beach. It's right with the water, I think it went round and round and round. Like you went to me. It's trouble, it's completely disorganised.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. 10 cast, 6 for councillor Johnson, 4 for councillor DeVries.
Well done.
Okay. With that, we move to, firstly, may I thank you both for putting forward your name. Councillor Johnston, I've appreciated your support during the last term, and Councillor DeVries, I know that you would have been a worthy deputy mayor as well, so thanks for both of you putting forward your name. And with that, we'll move to the recommendation, but I think with that, Councillor Johnston, you might need to declare something.
Conflict of interest.
Thank you.
Move the
Councillor-
recommendation, Joshua. I think symbolically it's good if I do it.
Okay, Councillor DeVries, and if you'll have, Councillor Wee-Smith seconded. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
You ask Russell to come.
And may I say, it's not only the deputy mayor, but I appreciate all your support too in the role. So it's very much about a team working together and continuing to work together. Page 162. It's the proposal to streamline the 2022-23 budget and business plan production process. Any questions that anyone may have first of all? Question?
Yeah, one question and one observation. The initiative makes eminent sense, I can understand it. My only concern is, the question is there any possibility to put back the public 1 month to give them some extra time? And that was, it does worry me whether I can get in by the 24th of December. I just think the lead up to Christmas, it doesn't leave the public much time to do this initiative, but I do understand where the CEO is coming from, and I like the idea, but I'm just concerned with the public having sufficient time to prepare these documents. I see it says 7 minutes to complete the forms, but there's a fair bit of research goes into some of these documents.
CEO?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the model is very much to do a very high level to start with, rather than having people, including the public and the staff, doing extensive amounts of work to do a first cut, to see if council will even entertain the actual submission. If you push it on an extra month, that's fine. We'll manage around that as we can. The majority of the work will be done. It's just whatever then comes through the public. We'd have to put to a quick meeting in, say, early February. And just while I've got the floor, I just want to, we're still slightly tweaking the attachment, so just please note some minor changes might come through that attachment. But ultimately, we can amend it to have public go out to the 31st of January. And how many submissions then will dictate what the impact is.
Councillor Johnston and Councillor Weiss.
I wonder if we're going to move to debate quickly, or whether, I think you've answered the question there, that if you don't have a cut-off date before Christmas, then you're asking people to work over Christmas, which is kind of a debate issue, isn't it?
Yeah, now, well, I'll stay with questions. Any questions?
I was just going to add to Councillor Barrett, so if we want to keep that for debate.
So
But is that something?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, move Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor.
Weiss.
Sorry, Councillor Johnston, and then I think it was seconded over here. Councillor Hearn. All those in favour?
No, you might have to debate first.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, debate, yes.
I'll be brief. I'll just reiterate what I
Okay,
was saying.
all right.
I think in public life we all know the way.
As the mover, you can speak.
Yeah, we all know that the timing interacts with the need to have budget papers prepared in the early part of the year. So I think the idea of getting it over and done with before Christmas at a high level has some merit, and I support the motion in that way. Thank you.
Councillor Hearn, you.
Yeah, I support those of Councillor Johnson, but I can just see the issues here, and I think Martin explained that away quite well, and if we do get some other issues, we can discuss them at the time.
So I'm hearing the important message that we probably need to put out to the community groups is it's very, very high level. You know, don't go for the deep dive on it. The next round will pick up the detail. Councillor Wee-Smith?
Yeah, just to add to Councillor Barrett's comments earlier, I'd agree with that, and possibly even pushing the public submissions out to February, just taking into consideration the holiday period and lots of people being away at that time. My main concern is I often find each year, you know, as we're getting towards the end of the budget process in, say, March, I've got people coming to me with things that they'd like to see in the budget, and it's always too late. And I'm concerned if we're pulling it forward, I totally agree with it, and streamlining the process, but we're going to have even more people who miss out there. So in addition to that, I'd like to ensure that we have significant communications going out. We've seen the result of not getting great communication out on other issues before, and I think this is something really important. As I said, I find every year I have people coming up to me as we're sort of coming to the end of the budget process saying, oh, you know, is this something we can see as a new initiative, and they've missed out. So I think that communication is really, really important. That's all.
Councillor Havik?
I agree in principle with the new system, but are we going to tweak this, Martin, a little bit so that we can fill in the details online and submit it all? The form I'm talking about.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely, Councillor Havik, yeah, and it'll come directly to Janine.
Okay, I've tried to do it, no way.
You come into my office and I'll help you.
No, well, I can't talk.
You've got electricity and
So I'm just trying to work out here, are we happy to sort of, the form I'm assuming is everyone's okay with streamlining it? Are we okay with the notion that we can present to the community and the community groups that if it's going out this week, you know, there's a bit of time there just to do a high level, and I'm sort of only seeing one or two lines in each category. I'm not seeing that we're going to write War and Peace in the document, are we? Yep.
Do you want me to close?
Yeah, close.
Any further questions or clarification before we do close it? Yep.
Can I make one very clear point? At the end of the day, the council sets the budget. You can change the budget up to the point on which it's adopted.
True.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to streamline here is, you know, sometimes we're reworking stuff 4 and 5 times because of conversations. All we want to do right at the beginning is be clear what you want us to do the work on, and for the community as well, so they're very clear right up front. And then we can work through the process. If there is a slightly different mechanism, and certainly there's some internal processes that will make it move a bit quicker internally as well. And I feel at times, you know, also that, you know, you as the decision makers right at the end, you get pushed for, you know, 3 workshops and 2 special meetings to try and make decisions. You need to do more upfront.
Okay. No further comments?
And I'm not allowed to introduce new material, but I'm going to. So it would just behove us, in line with Councillor Wee's comments, that we need to get out in the community with our little community groups and make sure they're aware of the change to the process and help them with it. And this responsibility lies here as much as with the staff. Thanks for the opportunity.
And I'm sure once it's circulated to the groups, we can spell out this is very, very high level helicopter stuff. Yep. Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried.
How do we get these forms?
Page 169 is the local government reform, the consultation on the draft regulations, and council has been asked to receive and note the LGA's discussion paper on the draft regulations, which has been circulated and attached to the reports. Any questions? The recommendation there.
Move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Miller. Wish to speak, either one?
No, thanks, Chairman.
All those in favour? Carried. Page 198 is the principal office and other offices late opening on the 16th of December. This is to consider council workplace providing direct services to the public to be open at 10 a.m. on the 16th of December to facilitate all staff access and inclusion in the organisational wide professional development event. Any questions?
Move the recommendation.
Moved Councillor Haybeck, seconded Councillor Johnston. All those in, do you wish to speak, either one of you? No. All those in favour? Carried. Page 200. Which is the report on the wheelchair access vehicle, the full cost recovery trial, and there's some details regarding the 2 vehicles. Any questions?
Move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Wee Smith. Either one wish to speak to the...
Oh, it's just interesting to note, maybe the cab companies are picking up the slack, which is great. Sort of a nice problem to have, I guess.
Councillor Wee Smith?
No, don't need to.
All those in favour? Carried. Works and engineering on page 204.
I'll move the recommendation. 7.6.1.
I'll second it.
We want to get over it.
Moved Councillor Johnston, seconded Councillor Wee Smith. Either one wish to speak to the...
No. Just support young people exercising, it's great.
And older people.
Oh. I've marshalled.
All those in favour? Carried. Page 209, which is budget transfer.
Your Worship, can I ask a
The
question?
drainage, any questions?
Yeah, this is for Mr Elding. Is this, the work that's going to be done around is it Maria Street or?
Maria Street.
My main question is, is there going to be, by improving the river flow or the water flow upstream, are we creating problems downstream as a result of that? And if so, has that been factored in? I'm sure it has, but I want to answer the question, ask the question anyway.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the work in Maria Street with the channel, I assume is that what you're?
That's the one, yeah, that's what I was thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, so that gives us access to at the moment, it's often blocked, and we don't have access to the full length of that channel. So part of the project is to obtain an easement right from Maria Street down to the end of the council boundary. What it doesn't do, it doesn't change downstream property owners. They will still have water flowing across land as it has always done. It just means that we have better access and we improved maintenance in that open channel.
Yeah, if I could follow up. So I'm thinking about that reserve around Koleski Court. Obviously, there's been issues with that in the past with residents and so forth. Is this going to potentially improve the flow, which from our point of view, but from their point of view, make it worse, quote unquote, and then we will then get backlash from them? And if so, are we doing anything to resolve that?
It's not going to make anything worse. It'll allow the water to flow more freely in that open channel.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be...
They may think that's worse though, that's all. Yeah. So is there anything we can do about that, or is that just, I mean, will they get an additional water flow as a result? Just want to know what we're in for, that's all.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we're not changing the catchment area, so there's not going to be any additional, we're not pushing any additional water through this channel.
Okay.
And the reality, by having a cleaner channel should make less impact, because it'll flow quicker.
Yeah, and this is a perception issue as much as anything else. So long as we can make that clear, I think that would be important. So that when the work is done, they're aware of what we're doing, because I know we're going to get accusations of you're directing your water onto our land. That is, you know, it's coming, you know. So I just want to make sure that A, we're not doing that, and B, if that is a perception, that we can get in front of that so that they have some satisfaction and we're covered.
Yeah, I mean, through you, Mr Mayor, so it's an open channel, it's quite a wide channel, so any work you do in a channel like this, the idea is to widen it and to effectively slow the velocity of that water. So at the moment it's quite a steep V.
Good.
And it can build up speed. But so the best practice is to widen and to try and slow that water going through that channel.
That's a perfect answer. So if we can make that really clear to them that we're slowing the flow, I think that will ease a lot of concerns. Perfect, thank you.
Councillor Lee Smith.
Yeah, similar to Councillor De Vries and Councillor Angus, who I know has also been out to these areas. I've got concerns about any work we do around that area, making sure it is actually an improvement, because we are going to get a backlash from those property owners downstream there. It doesn't matter what we're doing, and if we're going to be putting 70 grand into doing some work around there, I'd hope that it is going to improve the impact to those properties, because it's quite significant. I'm sure plenty of you have been out there and seen the amount of rubbish and water that goes through there, and these property owners they can't do anything about it. They've just got to deal with this coming through the back of their properties. They can't even subdivide and sell them off because the property just isn't suitable for that. So
Through you, Mr Mayor, this won't change the Councillor Lee Smith.
no, but is it going to improve it? Is the question.
There'll be potentially less debris going through, and as I said, we're having more control of the water through that environment, and hopefully slowing that velocity down. Whenever a water is left uncontrolled, it creates a notch or a channel, and it builds up speed quite quickly. So by putting a larger base in the invert of that channel, it allows the water to go over a larger surface area.
Yeah.
And it should slow that water down.
Yeah, I get that part there. But as I said, my concern is, we're going to be doing work in that area. Adjoining property owners are going to see that work happening, and I'm sure they're going to expect to see some kind of improvement. But so long as it's not worse, but I would hope it absolutely is going to be better. And also, in terms of communication, have we got officers going out to actually speak to the adjoining property owners and letting them know exactly what's going, so they understand what's happening in those works, not that they just see workers out there.
Yeah, the contractor does the minimal letter drop to notify residents, but we have been in contact with some of those residents, some of those that are downstream already, and we'll continue to do that as well.
I think that personal one-to-one contacts really essential. And I mean, realistically, it's a small number of properties down there. It's not like it's a whole, town that we need to do a letter drop to. Surely we can get some people out to have a chat or even just make phone calls or
I'm
something.
happy to talk to them.
Yeah, but I can just see, we're going to have pushback on this one because it is a significant issue through that area.
Well, we'll be talking to them at some point, so.
Oh,
Bill, you have a question?
Yes, should we approve this, which I have a feeling we may, when do you expect to start this?
This will be starting in the new year, the 17th of January, but we'll start with Elizabeth Street first. So it's 6 week through, so it's a 6 week project for each, so 12 weeks all up. So we'll start with Elizabeth Street because of the high risk profile associated with that and the flooding that's been happening to those local residents, to get that one completed first, and then we'll switch over to this one.
Okay, thank you.
Just quickly, Mr. Allen, will there be reduced maintenance cost as well?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that's correct. It's very difficult, and as I've explained previously, we don't have access to that property at the top, and that needs to be cleared out of the vegetation, the silt and the rubbish that's sitting in there. So that gives us access to maintain it, and there will be less maintenance as well.
Thank you.
Any further questions? There's a recommendation there to transfer those budget allocations. Councillor De Vries moved, seconded Councillor Hayvick. Either one wish to speak to it?
Just to reiterate what we've spoken about, this is something which will have to be managed with the community, particularly the downstream. So long as we do that, I think, and we sell the benefits of this, I think the community will accept it. If not, we're just making a lot of work and a lot of time for you guys down the road in terms of, we're going to have to talk to them at some point. I'd rather do it at the beginning, I guess is what we're saying.
Thank you. Councillor Hayvick? No. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Page 212. Which is the consideration and adoption of the committee resolution for the Barossa Bush Gardens. Any questions? Moved Councillor Troop and seconded Councillor Wee Smith. Either one wish to speak? All those in favour? Carried. Members, we now move to a confidential item, which is the last item on our agenda.
Move we go into confidence, Your Worship.
Moved Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Wee Smith. All those in favour? Carried.
You gotta vote on this first.
Hang on,
I've got to vote on this
yeah,
one first.
vote on one first, yep.
One at a time?
Or else if you all walk out the door, we may not vote on anything.
We can vote on it outside, it's bullshit.
Okay, councillor Schilling is looking for a leave of absence. Someone move that.
I'll move that
Councillor
one.
De Vries and seconded councillor Johnston. All those in favour? Carried.
Kathy?
Next, please.
Do we both go?
No, you're declaring a conflict.
Sorry?
Councillor Haywood?
Yeah.
Conflict, I just want me leave.
No, but you gotta let us know that. Good, good, okay.
Martin, ring me.
I think to be absolutely correct, you need to get up and say that verbally, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll move.
moved by councillor Ahern and seconded councillor Barrett. All those in favour? Carried.
David?
Here you go. Declare conflict before you go.
Clear conflict.
Thank you.
Not sitting like
Councillor Ahern has declared a
It's gonna be like
conflict.
Mary Celeste.
I've got moved for you.
Anybody gonna be around?
I'm a bit lonely over the side, I'd like to go and leave.
Pardon me.
It's the December meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, someone move
December.
leave of absence for councillor Ahern.
December.
Sure. why not?
Councillor Wu Smith, seconded councillor Johnston. All those in favour? Carried.
Tony?
Okay. Any more?
We voted against it.
Is there anyone
While
left?
we're at it,
We won't have a meeting in December.
I'll be sick, Mayor, anyway.
Members, that
don't say that.
that concludes our business for the November meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is the 21st of December 2021. With that, I'll declare the meeting closed, and could you please stay in your seats for a brief moment? I think you all got an email, you may not have if you haven't seen it this morning, but Martin wants to give us a little out of session update on the